YouTube, it's Mina, and I'm bored right now, and I can't think of what else to do. So this is the only idea. I had for a video. I'm going to read you guys Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And just so you know, this book is kind of long, so this is going to be put into parts. And I have my little bookmark right here, so I know when to stop. Okay, so I'm going to get started right now. Here's the picture. Right here of little squirrels and chipmunks. Aren't they cute? Long, long ago, in a magnificent castle, there lived a pretty young princess named Snow White. Her stepmother, the queen, was a wicked woman whose great fear was that Snow White's beauty would one day become greater than her own. And so Snow White was dressed in rags and forced to be her stepmother's servant. Her long days were spent scrubbing floors and cooking meals. Still, the evil stepmother worried that as Snow White grew, so would her beauty. Every day the queen looked in her magic mirror, anxiously asking, "Mirror, mirror, magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" "You are the fairest one of all," the mirror would always reply, and the queen would be content for another day. Snow White was an obedient stepdaughter who happily did her work while daydreaming of a handsome prince who might one day fall in love with her and take her to live with him in his castle. One morning she drew water from the well as she made a wish that someday her dream would come true. As if by magic, a handsome young prince appeared before her. He had been watching Snow White as she drew water from the well and was entranced by her beauty. But Snow White was shy and fled to the tower balcony. As the prince sang her a love song, Snow White placed a kiss on her friend the dove, who carried it to her beloved. On that day, the queen's magic mirror told the queen that Snow White was the fairest in all the land. In a jealous rage, the queen called one of her royal huntsmen. "Take Snow White far into the forest and kill her," she commanded. "And as proof of your deed, bring me back her heart in this," and she handed him a carved box. The huntsman began his deadly mission, telling her they were going for a walk. He took Snow White deep into the forest, Snow White sang a happy tune, gathering flowers and thinking of her handsome prince. Among the flowers she heard a cry of a baby bird that had fallen out of its nest. When she found the little creature, she picked it up and comforted it. "Don't worry, your mama and papa can't be far," she cooed. Feeling better, the little bird set off to find its parents. When they reached the heart of the forest, the huntsman drew his dagger. As he crept up behind Snow White, she turned and screamed, realizing what was about to happen. When the huntsman saw the fear in the princess's eyes, he fell to his knees. "I beg of you, your highness, forgive me," he pleaded. He told Snow White of the queen's jealousy and how he was ordered to bring Snow White's heart back to the castle as proof of his deed. "Now quick, child," he told her. "Run away. Hide." Snow White was very frightened. She gasped and whirled around and ran into the forest. The woods were dark and full of strange noises and frightening sights. As Snow White ran past, owls hooted and bats beat their wings overhead. Even the trees seemed to reach out to her with their branches and watch her with glowing eyes. Snow White ran faster and faster, and when she could run no more, she fell to the ground and began to weep. Oops, sorry. Locked her head. When she was finished crying, Snow White looked up and found herself surrounded by forest animals. Slowly they moved closer, realizing that they had nothing to fear but the kind princess. Sorry about that weird face. The animals are just so cute in here. The forest creatures comforted their new friend, and soon Snow White was feeling much better. "I do need a place to sleep at night," she told them. "Maybe you know where I can stay. Will you take me there?" Instantly, 2 raccoons tugged at the hem of her skirt and began to guide her through the woods. The deer, rabbits, chipmunks, squirrels, and birds followed close behind. As soon as they were at the edge of the clearing, Snow White pushed aside the bushes and saw a charming little cottage nestled among the trees. She ran toward the house, crossing over the little bridge just in front of it, and peered in one of the windows. "I guess there's no one's home," she exclaimed. Inside the cottage, Snow White saw 7 little chairs. "Why, 7 little children must live here. 7 very untidy little tidy children," she remarked to the animals. Indeed, wherever Snow White looked, she saw dirty dishes, dust on the furniture, and cobwebs everywhere. "I know, we'll clean the house and surprise them," she told the forest creatures. "Maybe when they see what we've done, they'll let me stay." Together, Snow White and the animals cleaned the little cottage and made it tidy. When they finished cleaning downstairs, Snow White and her friends went to see what they might find upstairs. At the top of the staircase was a door, and beyond it, Snow White saw 7 little beds. "Look, each bed has a name carved on it," Snow White said, and she read the names out loud: Doc, Happy, Sneezy, Dopey, Grumpy, Bashful, and Sleepy. Snow White yawned. "I'm a little sleepy myself," she said. Then she stretched out across the beds and fell fast asleep. Meanwhile, in a nearby mine, the 7 dwarves were hard at work digging for diamonds. They, not 7 little children, were the ones who lived in the cottage Snow White had found. Each dwarf had its own special job to do. Doc stood at the table and peered at the diamonds through the jeweler's glass. He saved the good ones and tossed away the bad ones, which Dopey swept up. As night fell, the dwarves headed for home. With their picks flung over their shoulders, the 7 dwarves marched in a line. Doc took the head, with Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Sneezy, Bashful, and Dopey following behind. Even though they were very hungry and tired from their hard day's work, the dwarfs sang a happy song as they marched along. When the dwarves neared their cottage, Doc stopped in his tracks. "Look, the light's lit. Something's in there," he cried. Though they were worried that they might find a ghost or other scary creature inside, all the dwarves bravely followed Doc into the house to investigate. The dwarves slowly opened the door and crept into the cottage, trying not to make a sound. "Careful, men," Doc whispered. The others tiptoed up behind him. "Our window's been washed," said Happy. "Look, it's been swept. What? There's dirty work afoot, Grumpy grumbled. He was always suspicious. Suddenly they heard a noise upstairs. Okay, so I am going to stop the video right here because it's getting kind of long and I don't want this to be, because if I read this whole thing in this video, it would make it too long. So I'll see you in part 2. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.